Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. And all 5 measures in this bill are really important to our constituents, and I'm very proud to be able to support all of them tonight and to be voting very enthusiastically for this important bill. As every member has said, we are indeed a nation of animal lovers. I am a dog owner myself, and I've just been reflecting actually that how much dogs actually can teach us about love and loyalty as human beings. I think we can learn a very great deal from them. Now, just going through the measures in the bill, we've heard a lot about primates, and it is absolutely right that those magnificent animals should only be cared for in environments where their complex social and welfare needs can be properly cared for. It was many years ago, wasn't it, that David Attenborough showed us on the television screen just how wonderful these creatures were, and that these particular measures in the bill are absolutely right. We know how many more dogs have come into the country, particularly during the pandemic. We know about the imbalance between supply and demand, and that's why I am so pleased that there are measures in the bill to deal with puppy smuggling in terms of limiting the number of dogs coming into the country, not allowing pregnant dogs to come in, and absolutely taking a stand with a ban against ear cropping and tail docking. And I thought there was a very important point made actually by my honourable friend for Penrith and the Border, that on films and on television we mustn't show examples of dogs where whose tails have been cropped and whose ears whose tails have been docked and whose ears have been cropped in anything other than a way to expose it. That is a really important point, and I'm grateful to him for raising it. Probably the issue that has been raised most frequently by my constituents is that of live animal exports, and it is fantastic news that this bill will ban that in terms of slaughter and fattening, and that will apply to cattle, sheep, pigs, goats and equines, and it will apply to journeys beginning in or transiting through Great Britain. That is very necessary and very important, and something we are able to do now we are outside the European Union. Livestock worrying is of particular concern to me, having a partly rural constituency. I've been contacted by some of my farmers in enormous distress about this issue. And it's not just the significant numbers of sheep they lose and the loss of income that represents. It's the huge emotional distress to farmers who love their animals. It's not just a financial crime. It really is something we should not put any farmer ever to. And that's why I'm so pleased we are going to expand the powers to the police. Although, as the point was made earlier, I think education for dog owners is really important. We don't want to see any dog put down unnecessarily or only as a very last resort. So that education piece is so important. I would just say to the Minister, I did have a worrying conversation with one of my sheep farmers recently who reported a dog that had attacked some of his sheep. He rang 999 and was initially told this was not a police matter. Now, I was very concerned about that, and I'm pleased that the new Police and Crime Commissioner for Bedfordshire, Festus Akinbusoya, has been educating our call centre on the impact of rural crime, and I hope that actually happens across the country, because no farmer should be being told this is not a police matter.
Will my honourable friend give way?
Yes, I certainly will.
Just on that point, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend for giving way. Just on that point about widening the scope of some of the things, either through this bill or for another bill, that we've talked about pet theft tonight, and you've talked about the importance of rural crime. I really would hope that the government moves forward with that pet theft legislation, but also considers very strongly to expand that legislation to include other animals, farm livestock, horses, etc., because those animals are sadly being stolen increasingly.
Well, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend, whose knowledge and experience in these matters I will always defer, and he is absolutely right. I mean, I remember an older lady coming to see me in my constituency a few years ago. Her small dog had been stolen, and it struck me it was akin literally to like a member of her family having been kidnapped. the removal of a child or a grandchild. She was so devastated, and we do need law that reflects the gravity of that. And I think my honourable friend is absolutely right, actually. It shouldn't just apply to pets, actually, as well. The theft of any animal is a very, very serious matter. Now, Whipsnade Zoo is in my constituency, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I'm actually delighted that I think 4 or 5 other members have already talked about Whipsnade Zoo this evening, such is its reputation. There are around 400 zoos in this country, but I would say, and I think with justification, in fact, that Whipsnade is at the absolute pinnacle of global conservation work. Now, we've heard from my constituency neighbour, and I'm delighted that we did, about the fantastic work which Whipsnade is already doing in its freshwater aquarium. She told us that it has more extinct in the wild and threatened species than any other aquarium in the world. We heard about the fantastic work to deal with elephant-human conflict and the 30,000 thermal images that have been taken to support that work around the world so elephants and humans can live together without anything bad happening to the elephants. And Whipsnade has 50,000 school children every year who leave inspired to do more for conservation. But in addition to that, Whipsnade has reintroduced tigers to Nepal, Kenya and Indonesia. It's introduced rhinos back into the wild into Nepal and Kenya. It's done work to restore the coral reefs in the Philippines. And closer to home, Madam Deputy Speaker, I can say that Whipsnade has been involved with getting angel sharks back on the coast of Wales. And even closer to home, Madam Deputy Speaker, Whipsnade has helped get eels back in the Thames just outside the boundary of where we are tonight. And I did have the opportunity to speak to my honourable friend, the Bill Minister, about this conservation work at breakfast this morning. I think the government does get it. I think the government is a complete supporter of this fantastic conservation work. I don't believe the bill is a threat to that work. I think she will reassure us, but I would be failing in my constituency duty if I didn't express those concerns. But I do think we are in good hands with a bill team like the one we have.